Hello, the viewers of The Pioneer. How are you doing? Like always, I hope you're healthy and well. As the Pioneer team, we continue to bring the data on the Russian-Ukrainian war to your screens. In a moment, we will provide you with the most up-to-date information and the agenda accompanied by a map. According to the latest reports, the front line is a little calmer compared to the past days. We can only say that the mobility on the Donetsk front line is at extraordinary level. There are intense clashes by the Russian armed forces on the Donetsk front line. However, these attacks have still not yielded decisive results. On the other hand, Ukrainian forces, which are in a defensive positions at all points, carry out sudden raids from time to time and carry out raids on the positions of the Russian army. One of these positions in the Zaporizhia front line. There is information that a large number of Russian soldiers were captured in a raid on the Zaporizhia front line in the past days. We will evaluate the reports on the developments in our reports on the agenda. So, what is the latest situation on the front line? Let's take a look at the developments together. Before starting, I would like to make you a friendly reminder. As the Pioneer team, we continue to carry the Russia-Ukraine war to your screens. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so as not to miss our daily map reports and reports on the agenda. You can also support me and my hard-working team by using the super thanks button below the video. Thank you in advance for your supports. Let's start if you are ready. The Pioneer reports. Let's briefly talk about the latest situation on the Kherson front line. Today was another quiet day in this area. According to the reports, the Ukrainian Marines in the direction of Krinky were again attacked by the Russian armed forces. However, these attacks did not yield results. The Marines of the Ukrainian armed forces continue to maintain their presence in the region. At the same time, hit-and-run attacks against the Russian troops continued during the day. It's reported that the Russian army suffered losses during the clashes in the region. However, a clear number has not yet been shared with the public so far. On the other hand, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces continue to target Russian positions and the rear of Russian positions during the day. Now let's look at the artillery activity in the region. According to the latest report, artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted Kherson, Antoniivka, Krinky, and Dniprovsky. In turn, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces targeted Podlitsny, Leshky, Sahy, and Pechanivka. Let's continue our report by analyzing the latest developments on the Zaporizhia front line. According to the latest report, the Robotny sector of the Zaporizhia front line is active. Here, Russian troops have been attacking the western side of the town of Robotyn for a long time. Attacks continue today. However, as you may imagine, it did not yield results. There are 7 reports that several positions captured by the Russian army in recent days have come back under the control of the Ukrainian troops. However, this information has not yet been confirmed. The Russian armed forces also launched a fierce offensive in the Verbov direction. Here, the Ukrainian army has fortifications from the summer offensive. For this time being, we believe that these fortifications are sufficient to defend the region. There's also the following situation. We have been observing the attacks of the Russian armed forces on the front line for about 3 months. These attacks, which started strong at the beginning, are not now so strong. The reports of the international military research organizations confirmed this. According to some reports, the Russian army has not been able to gain even 40% of the areas gained by the Ukrainian army during the summer offensive. Well, this is true for almost the entire front line. The Ukrainian army needs to turn the situation into a great advantage. As we have reported in our previous reports, there is an approaching mud season in Ukraine. The meteorological situation in the region is also deteriorating. The Russian army will gradually reduce its attacks during this period. If the Ukrainian army targets the strategic positions of the Russian army behind the front lines during this period, a favorable environment will be created for the next offensive. Now let's continue with the artillery activity in the region. According to the latest reports, artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted positions of the Ukrainian armed forces in Kamenskoye, Pyatykhavka, Goliapol, and Malinovka. In turn, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces targeted positions of the Russian armed forces in Zhorobyanki, Kopany, Ichenkov, Novoprokopivka, Verbov, and Novofedoryovka. Let's continue our report by looking at the latest situation on the Donetsk front line. The map shows the Donetsk front line, where the Russian army has failed to achieve any of its objectives as a result of the offensive launched. According to the latest reports, on the Donetsk front line, units of the Russian armed forces are trying to regain the initiative near the Novomikhailovka. We observe a wave of attacks coming from the southeast of Novomikhailovka. In the past few days, the Ukrainian army managed to repel Russian troops from the outskirts of the Novomikhailovka with a sudden offensive. The tactical advantage is still in the hands of the Ukrainian army. There are also similar actions in the Gorogorivka area and near Nivolsky. Russian troops with the support of long-range weapons are trying to advance near Forbrskoye on the southeastern approaches to Avdiivka from the industrial area, from the Kutabalka, from the east and the northeast in the coking plant. In addition, our units of the Russian armed forces continued their offensive in Stepnoe and near Novobakhmutovka, which is controlled by the Ukrainian armed forces. No Russian gains have been so far recorded in any of the areas where these attacks took place. Russian sources complain about the failure of the Donetsk frontline offensives, which started with particularly large targets. According to many Russian sources, Russian troops in the region have almost reached the points of exhaustion. We continue with the artillery activity in the region. According to the latest reports, artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted Ukrainian positions in Berdyachi, Novokalinivka, New York, and Zheleznoye. On the other hand, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces targeted units of the Russian armed forces stations in Mariinka, Donetsk, Volhyny, and Orliivka. Let us continue with the Bakhmut front line. According to the latest reports, on the Bakhmut front line, the Russian armed forces with artillery support continued their attacks on the hills northwest of Klishchivka. However, no results were obtained. Ukrainian troops in the area continue to hold their positions. The Bakhmut front line had a calmer day compared to the past days. Artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted Ukrainian positions in Andriivka, Ivonivsky, Bogdanivka, Yusuzovka, Bazorlovka, Supernoe, and Verkhovslinskoye. Artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces shelled the Russian armed forces positions in Bakhmut city center, Yahitny, and Berkivka. Let us also look at the Luhansk front line. According to the latest reports, on the Luhansk front line, Russian troops attacked near Yampoluivka and Makayivka, but without success. After the shelling, we see that the Russian troops also tried to advance near Sinkiivka. There is no results here either. Ukrainian troops continue to hold their positions. Now it's your turn. Tell me, what do you think? Do you think the Ukrainian defense is successful? Do you think the Ukrainian army will launch an offensive again? Do you think the offensives of the Russian army has failed? Let me know in the comments. You know that I read and I care about all your comments.